Yes, Minister, 1980 to 1984, is not only regarded as one of the finest British sitcoms, but also as a stage where the dazzling light of laughter concealed hidden shadows. Behind the clever humor and sharp dialogues lies the story of individuals, the actors who brought to life unforgettable characters, yet whose real lives were not free from backstage sorrows. 3 seasons filled with laughter and unforgettable political satire, but the real lives of the cast were marked by dark undertones. They turned Yes, Minister into an iconic masterpiece, but their fates were tinged with tragedy. Some departed from life too soon, caught in the relentless grip of illness, while others struggled with loneliness, personal crises, and oblivion. Under the stage lights, they were symbols of wit and intelligence. But when the lights dimmed, they were lost souls, grappling with battles the audience never saw. As we remember Yes, Minister, we recall not only the laughter that echoed on screen, but also the lives that faded quietly, leaving behind a legacy of both joy and infinite sorrow. Paul Eddington, 1927 to 1995, was best remembered for his portrayal of James Hacker, the earnest and often exasperated Minister for Administrative Affairs in Yes, Minister, and later Prime Minister in Yes, Prime Minister. With a blend of comedic timing and understated charm, Eddington embodied the character's struggle to assert authority in a bureaucratic world dominated by civil servants. His career spanned stage and screen, with earlier success in the sitcom The Good Life, 1975 to 1978, where he played the well-meaning but pompous Jerry Ledbetter. Privately, Eddington's life was marked by quiet suffering. Diagnosed with a rare form of skin cancer, mycosis fungoides, in the early 1970s, he kept the illness largely hidden from the public. The disease would eventually claim his life in 1995, after a long and painful struggle. He described his existence as a qualified success, not because of his career, but because of his capacity to endure. Married to Patricia Scott since 1952, he had 4 children and tried to shield them from his illness. Despite his affable on-screen presence, his final years were spent in physical pain, undergoing numerous treatments, all while facing the cruel irony of being remembered most vividly during the years of his deepest suffering. Nigel Hawthorne, 1929-2001, with his refined diction and expressive face, delivered a masterclass in character acting through Sir Humphrey Appleby, the scheming, silver-tongued civil servant who subtly manipulated his political masters in Yes, Minister and Yes, Prime Minister. His portrayal brought both satire and intellect to the show, often making bureaucratic obstructionism an art form. Outside the series, Hawthorne gained critical acclaim in The Madness of King George, 1994, a role that earned him an Oscar nomination. He also appeared in films such as Amistad, 1997, and The Winslow Boy, 1999. Yet his off-screen life carried a quiet melancholy. A deeply private man, Hawthorne only publicly acknowledged his homosexuality later in life, alongside his long-term partner, Trevor Bentham. For years, he struggled with self-acceptance and public reception, particularly as a gay man in the British acting community during less tolerant times. His life ended tragically with a battle against pancreatic cancer, diagnosed after undergoing surgery for colon cancer. He passed away in 2001 at age 72, having endured intense pain in his final months. Despite professional triumphs, Hawthorne's life was marked by profound solitude and the burden of secrets kept too long, revealing that even in brilliance, vulnerability can quietly echo. Derek Fowlds, 1937 to 2020, brought a gentle yet quietly astute presence to the role of Bernard Woolley, the principal private secretary caught between the political maneuvering of James Hacker and the bureaucratic cunning of Sir Humphrey in Yes, Minister and its sequel Yes, Prime Minister. With impeccable comic timing, Fowlds made Bernard the audience's lens into the absurdity of government, often bewildered yet unflinchingly loyal. His acting roots trace back to the stage and early roles such as in The Basil Brush Show, 1969 to 1973, where he endeared himself to younger viewers. Later, he became a familiar face in British homes through his long-running role as Oscar Blaketon in Heartbeat, 1992 to 2010. Yet behind the genial exterior lay heartache. Fowlds endured the pain of losing his partner, Joe Lindsay, in 2012, which left a deep wound. He had 2 sons, including actor Jeremy Fowlds, but his final years were marked by health struggles, including heart failure and pneumonia. which ultimately took his life in 2020. His passing at 82 was quietly mourned, but it symbolized the loss of a kind-hearted professional who spent decades making audiences laugh while privately bearing the slow, quiet burdens of aging and grief. Diana Hoddinott, born 1945, stepped into the role of Annie Hacker, the Prime Minister's wife, with a performance that was restrained yet significant. She was often a moral compass in Yes Minister, offering quiet criticism or support to James Hacker in moments of doubt. Hoddinott's career, while less publicly celebrated than her co-stars, was grounded in theater and television work that spanned several decades. She appeared in various British series and stage productions, though she never sought the spotlight. A graduate of RADA, her early life and career were marked by dedication rather than stardom. She married fellow actor Michael J. Shannon, and together they share a quiet life largely outside the public gaze. As of today, she remains alive, though largely retired from acting. Her post-acting years have been spent away from media attention, leading a reclusive and serene life. While she has not publicly discussed personal tragedies, the fading into obscurity after a meaningful but modest career carries its own kind of quiet melancholy. A life of significance, gently forgotten by time, yet remembered by those who valued the grace and poise she brought to a series that defined British political satire. John Nettleton, 1929 to 2023. As the urbane and calculating Sir Arnold Robinson in Yes Minister, John Nettleton embodied the epitome of a seasoned Whitehall mandarin, measured, discreet, and steeped in bureaucratic tradition. He reprised this role in the sequel series Yes, Prime Minister, further cementing his image as one of British television's definitive portrayals of civil service power. Nettleton's career spanned decades, with notable performances in series like The Avengers, Crown Court, and Brass, as well as film appearances in A Man for All Seasons, 1966, and Oliver, 1968. Trained at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art RADA, he often lent his distinctively calm and intellectual demeanor to roles that demanded gravitas. Privately, he was married to fellow actor Deirdre Doone, with whom he shared a long and reportedly happy union. Together, they raised 2 children. His later years were spent out of the spotlight, living quietly in England. He passed away in July 2023 at the age of 94. Though no scandal or suffering marked his final days publicly, the era he represented of a more nuanced and theatrical British television felt diminished by his passing. His death marked a dignified but deeply felt farewell to a stalwart of intelligent satire. Arthur Cox, 1934 to 2021. In Yes Minister, Arthur Cox played George, the affable and ever-patient driver of Jim Hacker. Though a minor character in terms of screen time, George was a steady and grounded presence amidst the political absurdities swirling around Hacker's ministerial life. Cox's portrayal added a subtle, often overlooked, layer of realism and working-class perspective to the show's civil service satire. Beyond Yes Minister, Cox had a prolific acting career spanning television, film, and stage. His TV credits included roles in Doctor Who, Agatha Christie's Poirot, Rumpole the Bailey, and the Saint, with film roles in Barry Lyndon, 1975, and Hope and Glory, 1987. Born in Banbridge, Northern Ireland, he maintained a quiet personal life, rarely appearing in tabloids or interviews. He never married publicly nor spoke much about family, which perhaps added to the enigma of his gentle screen presence. In his later years, Cox reportedly battled declining health, including memory issues that distanced him from the acting community he'd been part of for so long. He died in April 2021 at the age of 87, largely away from public recognition. His passing was a muted affair, but for those who cherish the subtle artistry of character actors, it marked the loss of a dedicated craftsman in British television history. John Savident, 1938 to 2024. Born in 1938, John Savident portrayed Sir Frederick Jumbo Stewart in Yes Minister, a bluff, no-nonsense senior civil servant whose booming presence and old-school demeanor stood in contrast to the sly machinations of Sir Humphrey and Sir Arnold. Though his role was brief, Savident's charisma made it memorable. He was best known, however, for playing Fred Elliott in Coronation Street, a role that brought him national fame from the 1990s onward. Before his soap opera acclaim, Savident had a distinguished career with roles in films such as A Clockwork Orange, 1971, and The Remains of the Day, 1993, and stage performances with the Royal Shakespeare Company. A tragic element in his personal life was a 2000 knife attack he suffered at his London home, an event that left him shaken and reclusive for a time. He was married to Rona Hopkinson, with whom he had 2 children, and lived quietly in retirement after leaving Coronation Street in 2006. John passed away in February 2024 at the age of 86. In his final years, he dealt with health challenges and largely withdrew from public life. His death closed a chapter on one of Britain's most distinct and powerful character actors, a man whose on-screen strength belied a life touched by personal trauma and quiet retreat in his twilight years. John Pennington, 1927 to 1981. John Pennington, born in 1927, appeared in Yes Minister as Peter, one of the many faceless yet quietly influential civil servants peppered throughout the show. Though his role was relatively small, Pennington was part of the tapestry that lent the series its satirical authenticity, portraying the soft-spoken, behind-the-scenes figures who often held more sway than ministers themselves. Pennington's acting career, though modest in visibility, included work in British theater and television during the 1960s and 70s. He was known for his intelligence and stage precision, but never gained mainstream fame. Tragically, Pennington died in 1981, just a year after Yes Minister began airing, cutting short any chance of further recognition. Little is widely documented about his personal life. He lived outside the limelight, without notable press attention. Whether he was married or had children remains unclear, and his death went largely unnoticed by the public. In a way, his life mirrored the kind of roles he often played. Quiet, diligent, and fading into the background, even as a machine of government and entertainment turned noisily around him. His early death at the age of 54 is a quiet sorrow in the history of British television, a reminder that some talents never get the spotlight they deserve. What do you think about the passing of the actors from Yes Minister, and who do you remember the most among them? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our latest videos.